Hello again, my withdrawal warriors. It's Dorian again. I'm gonna make an introduction before I get into the meat of how I came off of trazodone. So, just a quick little thing. I was on Saffris. I tapered down according to the plan that I formulated with my doctor. He said it was an accelerated plan, but I don't think it would have made a difference because it wasn't until I got off of it, or some people call it jumped off, that I had problems. The insomnia and the lack of appetite, the fatigue, feeling horrible. So here's the point is this is how I did it. This is not professional recommendation. If you're considering doing this, if you have a medical professional that you're working with, I would at least run it by them, especially if what you have been doing isn't working. You can consider trying something different. I found this method on survivingantidepressants.org, and that link is on my page. I'll also link it in the description. So again, this is all at your own risk, but sometimes you just got to try something. And this is how I did it. I have notes here, so excuse me if I look down a lot. I don't want to forget anything. So I'm not sure how many healthcare professionals are aware of this method. I think it's coming out a little bit more, thankfully, about the issues that a lot of us are having with coming off of prescribed psychiatric medicine, whether we wanted to be on them or not. So I won't go into the matter of choice right now. So I'll also put up a chart about why the concept of the lower you go, the slower you go, because for whatever reason, when you start coming lower on your dose, your body, or at least for many, tends to have more of a reaction to a decrease in the dose. And I experienced this before I knew this concept. I was going down in even increments. For example, I was on 300 milligrams of trazodone, and then I was going down by 25 milligrams until I could not handle it anymore. And I'm sure many others can testify to that experience. So the method that I used was taking off 10% of what I was currently on at each stage. Not the original dose, but every dose that I went down to, I went 10% lower. So the curve is a lot smoother as you're tapering down. Also recommended is that you listen to your body. If there is an uptick in symptoms, you can either decide to, if it's tolerable to deal with that, or you can go up a tiny bit, or you can hold for longer. The next time around, your body is really telling you something. What I ended up doing was tracking my symptoms. However you do that, on paper, on a phone, the notes, I used a journal app. So tracking symptoms actually really helped. I could look back at any point in time and see what my symptoms were, or what happened every time I reduced my dose. Now, not everybody has tablets. These medications come in different forms. So I'm going to be demonstrating with tablets. That's the form that trazodone came in. And I was like shaving, or I should say filing it down with a nail file. Some pills come in a powder form. Some come with little beads in there, and there's also sublingual, which is one of the medications that I was taking. You put it under your tongue and it dissolves. The sublingual, in order to preserve that for future doses, it needs to be kept dry. So I recommend putting that in some type of sealed container or sealed bag. As a summary, before I get into the actual demonstration, as I mentioned before, it's 10% off of your current dose. So it's helpful to have a calculator or use your phone, however you figure this out. If you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself, you're in a state where it's difficult, whatever the case may be, and you think you might need somebody to help you, please ask. It is really important that this math is done accurately. What you'll probably see as I do the demonstration is some of the numbers are going to have to be rounded. I would feel that it's safer to round down every time when you are doing your calculations. So let's say it's 100 milligrams, 10% off of the 100 milligrams is 10 milligrams. Therefore, your next dose when you step down will be 90 milligrams, and so on and so forth. You'll take 10% off of 90, so that's 9 milligrams. And you keep doing the math until you get to the point where you can jump off or get off of the medication completely. In my situation, my last dose was the size of a breadcrumb. It was tiny, you could barely see it, but that's what it came down to. And still, that at least week or two after my last dose, I was still dealing with symptoms as much as I did as I was tapering down until things leveled out a bit, but it was still difficult for a while. And for some, it takes longer than others. I've even been reading stories recently. Some people, I don't want to discourage you, but I'm being real, a year, 18 months, 2 years. It depends on a lot of things. I can't even go through the whole list. But please take it slowly. Listen to your body and try your very best, if it's anywhere in your control, to reduce the amount of withdrawal symptoms you're experiencing during your taper. So this is essentially the setup here. What I used was a jewelry scale. I think it's also called a micro scale. I recently looked this model online, and something like this is going to run an average of 20. I think I found this one for 17 exactly when I looked online, but something similar is about $20 to $30. I have a calculator here, of course. If you have a smartphone, then you have a calculator. And I have my notepad here to jot down all my calculations. Now, these here are how I would shave off I keep saying that, file the tablets. This is a metal file, and a lot of people would call this an emery board. So, of course, make sure it's like clean. Use a brand new one. I have seen videos where people use razors, but especially in this realm, a lot of people are struggling with self-harm, and if you aren't, then something might occur where it might create a hazard. So I don't recommend razors. I also don't even think they're as accurate, or you don't have as much control. So I'm using some acetaminophen, some over-the-counter pain medication for this particular demonstration. So you want to get a baseline or an average of your pills here. Your on-off button, it will automatically zero out, but for any reason, like if I take this off, I have negative the weight, you can hit that tear button there and it will zero out. So when I put it back on there, now I have a weight, I'll hit tear, it will zero out. So what's recommended is that you weigh 10 pills and get an average. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 1, And I have about 5.9. I know I talked about rounding up, but it is so close in the next digit. Again, use your discretion in this whole thing here. I just bumped it, so the numbers moved to 5.59 anyways. So the reason, again, if I were to take, let me make sure this is zeroed out. If I'm going to take one of these pills and I get 0.559, I can take another one, it's zeroed. That's 0.557. You can already see there's going to be slight differences here. Yes, they're manufactured. I got 0.558. They are not going to be all exactly the same, but pretty close. This is 0.566. So that's why we're going to take 10 of them, get an average, and we're also going to have to figure out how many milligrams is gonna, or how much each milligram weighs. So with this, I have let me turn it on, 5.59 grams. I'll divide that by my 10 pills. So each pill, I'm gonna put that at 0.56 because it is so close. So our average here is 0.56 grams. Now, each one of these caplets, let me see if you can see it, is 500 milligrams. So we're going to take our 0.56 grams, that is divided by how many milligrams your pill is. So I'm going to write the 500 milligrams, and just to be clear so we know what we're looking at, this is your weight, and you're going to divide that by dose in milligrams. So what am I going to get here? Since I'm rounding, I'm going to clear it out and put in 0.56 grams. I'm going to divide that by 500 milligrams. So therefore, every milligram, 1 milligram equals. So according to my calculations here, for every pill, which is an average of 0.56 grams, and each pill is 500 milligrams, every milligram weighs approximately 0.001 grams. So here's my hypothetical situation. I have one pill here, and I want to go down 10%. I will take my 0.56 and we're going to multiply that by 0.1. So every 10% from 500 milligrams, I need to subtract 0.056 grams from the pill. So in other words, now that 500 milligrams, and I'm going to multiply that by 0.1, I'm taking 50 milligrams off. So that's also 450 milligrams. So you can also track how much you are actually taking. All right, so from the top, each pill, 0.56 grams. I'm subtracting the 10% from my current dose. So I'm subtracting 0.056. So my pill should now weigh approximately 0.504 grams. There's a little hanging off there. I'm going to leave that, but if we get to 0.5, then I'm going to get to 0.5 as closely as possible. Find somewhere where you can dispose of the powder. Some might even do that in some sort of container so they can use it in the future. I'm going to file off a bit here. I've never done this medication before, so I'm not even sure, I'm not familiar with how much I need to take off. So always make sure you're zeroed out here. I'm going to put it on the scale, and I have 0.544. So take it back off. I need to take off some more. Okay. And we're zeroed out. You can always, just hit the button just for good measure. Put that on 0.542. So I need to take quite a bit off. So this is 10%. You can even, before I was doing this, I was eyeing it up and taking a picture of it every night, which was a very painstaking and not an accurate way to measure pills, but that's what I had to do at the time. And if I could tell a difference from one picture to the next, that was my gauge as to how much I was tapering down. Oh, we're getting closer, more work, so bear with me. I'm sure I'm gonna end up fast forwarding this for you all. And I'm sure if I had a coarser grit, this would go faster. If you end up having to take a lot off at some point, you can see that there's some waste here. You can use a pill cutter or a knife or some way to get a bigger chunk off, especially when you start getting closer to about a quarter or a half of a pill that you're going to have to take off. All right, 0.504. Now again, if I wanted to, I could round down to 0.5, but here I have my numbers that match. So there's how you take 10% off. Now I'll do one more hypothetical calculation here. So now I'm currently at 0.504 grams. That is the weight. I'm going to write again the weight so there's no confusion. And I will take that new dose that I'm on. I'm going to just keep the 4 on there. Why not? Because that's what I just used. So 0.504, you're going to multiply that by 10% or 0.1. Now you want to subtract 0.05 from there. I'm rounding down at this point. This is way far off into the teeny tiny little minuscule here. So here we go. I'm going to take my 0.504, subtract my 10%, which is now 0.05. So the new weight that I want is now 0.454. And again, this is going to be grams. We're still dealing with weight all through here. So here's my pill again. I'm going to put this in a little receptacle and shave away until my number matches my calculator, 0.454. At some point, I did all the calculations all in one shot. If you have the energy to do that, or the time or whatnot, I think it would help. If you get off track, though, it might kind of be all a wash, but it's up to you if you want to sit down and do all the calculations down to basically 0, or just do that calculation as you go along every time you step down. And so this isn't zeroed out, so I'll make sure. 0.455. So again, it's up to you. You can go ahead and, take a pill that's about 1/1000th of a gram off, or maybe just a couple more swipes, see how it goes. Plus, you know, nothing's really perfectly accurate. All right, so I'm at 0.454, 0.455. Again, at this point, some of you might decide to just stop and take your dose, but I'm just gonna keep going. So there we go. That gets us pretty close to where we want to be. Again, if you want to round down, but it's so close to the middle, and I would rather err on the safe side. That's just me. So that's how it's done. If I were to continue, I'll just give you a quick, maybe a couple more calculations of the weight here. So I'll start back to, now the current dose is 0.454. I want to take 10% off. Oh, I should not have cleared it. 0.454 times my 10% is 0.045. So we'll take our 0.454. We're subtracting 0.045 grams. That is 0.409. If I took 0.409, my new current dose, and I'm going to see what 10% of that is, then I will subtract 0.4, I'm going to round up to 0.41. So since I rounded up, I'm going to put in, 0.409. See, I am of relatively sound mind, and you can see how it would help to get some assistance with something like this. And then I made another mistake. 0.409 subtract 0.041. So now the new weight of the pill should be 0.368. And this is all, again, the weight of the pill. Here is one dose, we subtracted 10%. Here's the next dose, subtracted 10%. Here's the next dose. So you can see each weight that your pill needs to be in. So if you want to calculate also the milligrams or the dosage that you're taking per the weight, then you will take your weight, I'll move it over here to the side, 0.368, grams, your weight, and you're dividing that by the weight per each milligram. So each milligram is 0.001 grams. So that makes my current dosage, some people can do this in their head, but I don't want to risk it because I'm no math whiz, 0.368 grams. I'm going to divide that by 1 milligram, which is 0.001 grams. That means at this dose, I am on 368 milligrams of my medication. 368 milligrams. This calculation for the acetaminophen, like pain medicine, was actually pretty easy. So you probably don't even need a calculator if you really think about it, because all you have to do is move your decimal point over. But I'd be hard pressed to find a medication that actually works out to such an easily calculated number. But that's how you would do that. You take the weight of your current dosage, divide that by the weight of 1 milligram, and you're going to get the dose that you're on. When I did my calculations, I know this piece of paper is floating around somewhere. I kept it for posterity. I actually went through the weight, and then I, next to it, wrote the dosage every time, because I wanted to know what the dosage was. The weight in one column and the dosage in the next column. I really, really hope this helps. Please ask questions if you have any. If none of this was clear, this is the first time I've done this, and I really want to make sure that it's understandable and show a detailed demonstration. Because when I learned how to do this, I got it off of the website and I went by the instructions. It may be somewhat of a simple concept, but that doesn't mean it's easy. I'm here to help. Please let me know what I can do for you, including prayers. And I know you can do it. And that's how I did it. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, if this seems complicated and I can find a way to make it a little easier to understand, any comments about it, I would love to hear if anybody is thinking about trying it, if they are trying it, if they have tried it. Just leave some comments, leave some feedback, and let me know what I can do to, help you in this process, at least in the way that I did it. I know there are other methods, and I was hoping that a demonstration would really help as opposed to just reading it on a website. I'm a visual learner, so I'm trying to help out everybody else who is. Ask for help from people around you, whether it is a medical professional that you have a relationship with, or family, friend, somebody that you trust that can help you with this process. You don't have to go it alone. Like I somewhat did. I mean, I did in terms of this tapering method, but as I said in my find support video, if you can at least have somebody to talk to, somebody's shoulder to cry on, somebody to just vent to, um, any suggestions that you can take, if somebody can cook you a meal, anything, just we need help in this situation. Don't be afraid to ask for help. For a lot of us, it's not easy. It wasn't easy, and it still isn't easy for me to ask for help. But when we're put in a position here where we're vulnerable and we're put in that place, that's a time to really ask for and accept help, and it will really help you grow. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know how I can pray for you, and I am praying for you.